Valorant guns rank from worst to best. Now don't look at this list like if something's higher than another, it's better. It's just better for most scenarios, and if you're deciding between weapons, most of the times, just pick the weapon that's right for the economy or your playstyle. So the worst weapon as of right now in my opinion is the Stinger. Yes, it is cheap, but something like a Bucky or even a Shorty can do better things in close range. Plus, the spray on close range is very inaccurate, especially when running, so it kinda defeats the purpose of the weapon. On far range, it's still unmatchable against rifles, and the Sheriff is probably better for that as well. It has the jack of all trades, but if you're trying to eco, you really stand no chance against other weapons because they're overall worse at everything. Next is the Bucky. Now the Bucky is a great close range weapon, but to be honest, I would just go with the Shorty because the chances of you winning a long or even medium range gunfight with a Bucky nowadays is slim to none. Plus, the Shorty only costs 150 creds, which is a lot of value, even though it's only used in close range scenarios. Next is the Judge. Now the Judge isn't unviable in every situation like the Stinger, it's just that if you're paying close to a Bulldog's price range, it better be viable in at least medium range. Yes, the Judge is the ultimate close range weapon, but let's say you're defending an entrance and the enemies push up behind you. Chances are you're way too far away to shoot, and it's a loss of almost 2,000 creds. It's kinda like the feeling of losing an op in close range due to it being a long range weapon. Next is the Frenzy. Now the Frenzy can demolish players in pistol rounds in very close range, but the Classic isn't that far behind. Plus, you're stuck in this situation where you can't get full shields. Now in the lower ranks, it's one of the best pistols as it's super easy to aim with and it's automatic, but it's like a better Classic and can't handle far ranges accurately. The Classic is more well-rounded in every way, except for it not being an automatic, and the Ghost is way better at long ranges. So it's really only viable with the first round. I wouldn't even buy it in a save round, just due to the Classic being more well-rounded in terms of range. And I don't think spending 450 more creds will get you that kill. Next is the Shorty. Now the Shorty only costs 150, and that's nothing. You could buy like 6 rounds of Shorties, or a Bucky, and a Shorty can still do a lot of damage. It's frustrating to have a Vandal and a Shorty player just kills you when they're camping, but that just shows how effective the weapon at close range is. Now the Shorty is a weapon for very particular scenarios, but I would rather have a cheap good weapon than a weapon that does everything but not good at one thing and costs a lot more. Next is the Guardian. Now the Guardian does have some major advantages when it comes to long range, probably better than a Vandal or a Phantom, but it's not automatic. If you can hit your headshots, not only is it cheaper, but it could be better than the top rifles due to it having low recoil. Plus, the ADS of the weapon is super overpowered and criminally underrated. But if you have bad aim, good luck because you can't really spray with it. Next is the Marshal. Again, kinda like the Guardian where it's really good if you can hit your headshots, but if you don't, you're basically dead. It's better than the op in every way except for the scope and damage, but if you can hit the headshots and get used to the scope, it's super cost effective. Next is the Ares. Now the Ares was super buffed last act, but now it's kinda average. The Spectre is still my favorite between the two, but the Ares has a super nice ADS spray pattern, and it's kinda like the Odin, where it's very accurate in the ADS, but it's not that good without aiming down sights. Good wallbangs, but in the higher ranks if you're not playing for wallbangs, you might just get headshot before you kill them, because the Ares is really made for body shots. I also placed this lower than the Odin because the TTK is so slow. At least with the Odin it can hold itself against rifles, even if you do get headshotted. I also placed the Spectre higher due to this as well. Next is the Classic. Now yes, it's free and yes, the weapon all around is horrible, but can really hold itself with the right click on save rounds. Usually the left click on saves are horrible. Even when the enemy is turned around, they will still kill you because the time to kill on the left click is just so high. Next is the Bulldog. The Bulldog is pretty underrated in my opinion. I think the regular spray isn't that bad because it's really similar to the Vandal or Phantom, just a little bit worse, and the ADS however is so good and is amazingly accurate and high damage. Now yes, the Stinger is the same thing, but even if you do hit them with a Stinger, chances are they will still kill you. With a Bulldog, they're finished after one burst on ADS. Overall not that far behind the top rifles, but a lot cheaper. Next is the Sheriff. Now the Sheriff is a great save round weapon because it's viable in all ranges, super clean if you can aim, and basically everything you need if you can hit those headshots. Kinda like a mini Guardian, but I actually prefer it because it's easier without ADS. Also, about a third of the price. Next is the Ghost. The Sheriff and Ghost are super similar to me because the Ghost is the ultimate pistol round weapon in my opinion, and the Sheriff is my favorite for saves. I think that the Sheriff isn't good for pistols because it's just not that fast, and you can also get rushed by 2 to 3 players at once, which usually happens during pistol round, and you're basically dead. The Ghost is a lot more accurate than Classic, but it still holds that fire rate, so that's why I love it for pistol rounds. But up against Vandals, it might have a chance if you hit that first headshot, but you will still have to hit 2 more body shots to finish them. Whereas with the Sheriff, it's either a 1-tap and a body, or just with the 1-tap. Next is the Odin. Now the Odin is a lot more worth it than the Ares in my opinion, because it actually makes wall banging a lot easier to get kills with. Whereas with the Ares, it might be able to do some damage, but you likely won't find a kill. It's probably the best weapon in the lower ranks as it's super easy to use, incredibly accurate with no aim required. In the higher ranks, you would just get dinked before you even finish spraying their body. Next is the Spectre. The Spectre is a super well-rounded gun and can easily beat out those close range encounters against rifles with incredible headshot accuracy. It's probably the best second round weapon and super effective against pistols. Plus, you can bonus with it as it's not unviable against rifles. All around good value. The Stinger, yes it does a lot, but it's either spend more or save, because buying a Stinger is a waste if you don't get a kill with it. That's why I always go Spectre most of the time. So my top 3, the number 3 is going to the Op. Now yes, with Jet and all, the Op is unstoppable, but I've seen way too many times where Op players just don't push in, and they either have to save the Op for multiple rounds, or worst of all, die with the Op and give it to the enemies. This happens a lot on attack as well, because you're not holding any angles, so the Op's really hard to use on attack for that. But if you're really good, it's basically unlimited value if you don't die. Next is the Vandal, and that means that the Phantom is at number 1. Now for myself, I am a Vandal user currently, and I use the Phantom regularly whenever I feel my aim is off. But you heard time and time again that it depends on the range of the map, attack or defense, etc. Just go with the one you like, and I think the feel outweighs it all. If you like a skin more than another, just go for that weapon. Playing confident is probably more important than having a little bit better first shot accuracy or 5 bullets more in the mag. Alright guys, if you would like to make changes, comment them down below. Thanks for watching and have a good day.